Let's talk about the ways in which you can process a claim. There is several ways that you can go about getting money for the damages that have occurred to your property. One of the ways is through FEMA. FEMA has its own website and has qualifications that you can sign up for. You can also get assistance from lawyers or adjusters to help you process the data that's necessary on that claim. You also have insurance coverage. Typical types of insurance coverage, including homeowners policies, if it's a residential claim, or condominium, or co-op, or renters policies, as well as things like flood policies, and whether you're a part of the National Flood Program. On the commercial side, you may have a typical liability policy that may cover these types of damages. There's also additions, machinery and boiler type policies, and other types of policies that run with the commercial type of business. And there are other types of policies, but the main thing to understand is what coverage do you have and how you go about filing those claims. Now, FEMA primarily works when you don't have money or to get you emergency money. Typically, FEMA will pay when there isn't insurance coverage or when insurance coverage is insufficient. So, most people are entitled to FEMA coverage. So what you do is you find whether you're one of the disaster counties. Are you a county that's been declared a disaster, which then is covered by the FEMA relief? And then, do you qualify for FEMA relief? Are you a United States citizen? Are you living in the actual home where it's at as opposed to having a vacation home, and so forth and so on? And that data is provided actually by FEMA, and it's also provided on the Storm Dream Team website. So, what we do is we actually have different ways of communicating our claim. We can go to the website, disasterrecovery.gov. We could actually pick up a phone and call in the claim and actually speak to FEMA representatives and explain to them what our claim is, and then they'll note it. There's actually even a smartphone application that you can use on your portable device, if you so wish. You can also get assistance. For example, at stormdreamteam.com or those kinds of related websites, it will have links to FEMA, as well as links to insurance resources and other types of materials that might help you. But the key is, with FEMA, is to fill out the information that entitles you to consideration by FEMA, that gets them out to your site to investigate and perhaps to pay you money. There are two typical categories in FEMA types of relief. You have housing relief and what they call other housing relief. And while we'll go into more detail in other sections, the principal concept of housing relief is to get temporary housing, to get some funds to help you to live in a particular location that maybe now you're unable to live in, and so you're displaced and have to go somewhere else. There is also the type of permanent reconstruction that sometimes is permitted. Say your home was completely destroyed. Now, there's also other housing needs. That's a category that covers such things as funeral expenses, emergency type of needs like medical expenses. If you need temporary funds that will help you get through the day. Those types of things fit within the other housing needs category. There are many more needs than that we will go over later. But we're just now trying to give you a concept of what each section is basically doing. Now, when you call FEMA on the phone or you go online, you want to make sure that you have all the documentation that's necessary. Financial information, what the damages to your property are, pictures and photographs, and other types of things. Now, you can also go to a one of the websites, for example, like stormdreamteam.com, and they have an entire fill out informational sheet that you can fill out and upload all of your information, your insurance policy, your photographs, whether you spoke to the insurance company, what you spoke to FEMA, all that data, and then that gets sent to a reviewer. And that reviewer can be the law firm or a public adjusting firm or an entity which reviews these claims to help you to perhaps process either a FEMA claim or an insurance claim. However you do it, the most important thing is to make sure that you've gone online or you've made contact with FEMA to set up a claim. On the insurance side, the most important thing to understand is you have to give notice to your insurance company. You have to give timely, sometimes they call it prompt, sometimes they use the word immediate, but the concept is you need to give notice to the insurance company to let them come out and see that property immediately. You also need to take steps to make sure the damage doesn't get worse. For example, if your roof was blown off, you would need to get a tarp so that rain doesn't keep pouring into your building. So the idea is to give the information to the insurance company and to also get them to come out to review your property, to inspect your property, to take a look at your documents, to look at photos or video evidence. Now, many of you may have evidence of how your home looked beforehand, and I'm using home because we're just using a residential example for here, but we can later on discuss commercial examples and industrial and other types of homes, other types of commercial business. But let's take, for example, that residential home. So what you have essentially is insurance company, I want you to come out, I have coverage. Well, what kind of coverage do I have? Well, let's talk about two principal categories of insurance. Homeowners insurance and flood insurance. Homeowners insurance is designed to protect the home, its contents, and surrounding elements from whatever is covered in that policy, from dangers, perils, problems, damages that result from whatever is enumerated in the insurance policy. Generally speaking, homeowners policies do not include recovery for damages from flood. There are exceptions, but generally speaking, they don't. And so you need a separate flood policy. The flood policy is covering you for damages to the structure, to the contents that are inside that structure, for water or floods or things which cause a problem as a result of, and it's example I used, a lot of water coming in, such as what happened in many of the claims in New York, New Jersey, and several other states. And that flood policy is dedicated to help recover monies for damages that were caused by the high waters. Maybe you lost all your shoes or all your clothes were destroyed. Maybe furniture. Maybe the structure was moved and it was damaged. Now, going back to the homeowner's policy, if I had damage, say, to a roof or to a structure as a result of, say, high winds or tremendous amounts of rain and other types of situations, if we were using a hurricane or tropical storm type of format, then that would be the type of coverage you would get in your homeowners. Now, the homeowners policy is broken into four principal parts. And you can look at that on your policy. Actually, on your policy, the first page, the cover page, or one of the main pages, is called your declarations page, sometimes called the deck page. And what it does is it tells you how much coverage you have. So, for example, coverage A is for the structure, the roof, the walls, things like that. It will have a certain amount of money that's covered. Usually that's your highest amount. Coverage B is other structures. For example, you have a fence, you have a shed, you have a garage that's not attached. That falls within coverage B. Coverage C, contents, clothing, stereos, carpet, things like that that are inside the structure. And coverage D, which covers loss of use. Say you had to move out. Say it was a rental property and you lost rental value. And it pays you for that kind of coverage, and it will be stated therein. If you understand those basic items, you'll be able to principally start the process of making a claim. Thank you.